from Royal Communications Incorporated. Good afternoon and welcome to King's News Broom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa. In our one word, today is Thursday, December 19, 2024, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, several Liberian journalists expressed fear for their lives following Syria attacks on members of the Liberian media and reports of ruling Unity Party plans to assassinate journalists considered critics of the government. Former presidential aide Sekou Kalasco and several others remain behind bars at the Morovia Central Prison despite efforts to have them released, as Liberian National Police declares Mbaito House Pico Fonati Kofa and Monserrado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko presence of interest in the Wednesday's Capitol Hill fire outbreak. And also coming up, Economic Community of West African States calls on government of Liberia to ensure peaceful dialogue and respect for human rights. ECOWAS terms Capitol building fire outbreak an incident that could further inflame an already fragile situation. And away from home, several children have been killed in a crash at a fun fair in the southwest Nigerian city of Abandon, with many others hospitalized. This was the news bulletin. Voices of those making the news are all packaged, but we'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
The Special Assistant to Magibi County Senator Nathaniel McGill Bobby Gray has alarmed over what he described as dangerous plans by the ruling Unity Party government to assassinate several Liberian journalists who are considered critical of the government. Bobby Gray made the allegation Wednesday on Face the Issues with Liberian top talk show host Ibrahim Gossent Weir. Gray claims against the ruling party follow a reported arson attack on the vehicle of journalist Austin Kawa of Freedom FM. Journalist Kawa vehicle was reportedly set ablaze by unknown individuals Wednesday night around the compound of Freedom FM. On Tuesday, two other journalists were reportedly tear gassed and brutalized by the Liberian National Police during the Concerned Citizens for the Protection of the Constitution, Democracy, and the Rule of Law protest on Capitol Hill. Many Liberians, particularly those considered as critical voices of the government, are said to be in total fear due to recent series of attacks on journalists and revelations of the ruling party plan to allegedly assassinate journalists who are critical of the government. Bobby Gray named Ibrahim Godson Wayan of King FM, Austin Kawa of Freedom FM, Sekou Sharif of Voice of Liberia, among others, as persons being targeted by the ruling party. Speaking on the increasing attack against journalists by the Liberian National Police and unknown individuals, top Liberian talk show host and general manager of Royal Communications Incorporated, Ibrahim Gossen Huyan, called on Liberians to rise up against the wanton act irrespective of political party affiliation and position. Journalist Huyan further pointed out that the failure to stand against these threats against journalists will pose more danger of the country's security and press freedom. In a related development, former president of the Press Union of Liberia, Otavin Williams, has condemned the Liberia National Police over the arrest and manhandling of former President George Weah aide, Sekou Kalasco Damaro, on Tuesday. Sekou Kalasco and several others were arrested by riot police of the Liberia National Police during the Concerned Citizens for the Protection of the Constitution, Democracy, and the Rule of Law protests of Capitol Hill for showing solidarity for the protesters. Kalasco and others are being charged for obstructing highways and other passages, physical obstruction of government function, aggravated assault, criminal mischief, theft of property, and disorderly conduct. The former presidential aide and over 10 others have since spent nights in prison at the Morovia Central Prison awaiting prosecution according to the government. Otavian Williams, a stern supporter of the Boaca Cone 2023 election, also termed the government move as a misrule and flagrant abuse of the country's laws. The president of Liberia, former vice president, said the LNP arrest of the former presidential aide and others were politically motivated, which is aimed at targeting several supporters of the leading opposition party, the Congress of Democratic Change of former President George Weah. Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman has named House Speaker Fonati Kofa and Montserrado County District 9 Representative Francis Foko as persons of interest following the fire outbreak at the Capitol building. The fire outbreak, which occurred early Wednesday, engulfed the joint chamber of the House of Legislature, with several casualties reported, but was later extinguished through the intervention made by the Liberia National Fire Service. Inspector General Coleman, during a news conference, named in battle House Speaker Fonati Kofa and Montserrado County Representative Francis Afoko as persons of interest due to their comments and posts on social media. IG Coleman stated that the Liberia National Police has launched an immediate investigation into the fire incident and vowed to bring those responsible to justice, ensuring they face the full weight of the law. Wednesday incident marks the second fire outbreak on Capitol Hill in days. The Economic Community of West African States has voiced deep concern over the escalating tension in Liberia following violent clashes between protesters and the Liberia National Police on Tuesday. The regional bloc condemned the violence, calling for immediate restraint from both parties or protesters and the police as they navigate their respective rights and responsibilities. In a statement released late Tuesday, ECOWAS expressed dismay at the violent confrontation, which resulted in significant unrest and several casualties. The protest, organized by the group under the banner Concerned Citizens for the Protection of the Constitution, Democracy, and the Rule of Law, was intended to call on the government through the legislature to adhere to the rule of law. ECOWAS condemned what it described as violent clashes between police and the protesters. Montserrado County District 10 Representative Yake Kolibe has called for an immediate investigation of President Joseph Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, and Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman following the fire outbreak at the Capitol building on Wednesday. Representative Kolibe also expressed deep concern over the fire outbreak, indicating that the Liberia National Police has exposed itself to be held responsible for the incident. Speaking to reporters Wednesday, the Montserrado County representative exerted that the Liberia National Police has allegedly been unable to fully protect the premises of the Capitol building, but rather have only shown interest in protecting members of the breakaway majority bloc. According to him, it is prudent to investigate the three due to positions since the beginning of the impasse at the lower house and Tuesday's police alleged violence against peaceful protesters. President Joseph Boakai has condemned the fire incident at the chamber of the Capitol building. The Wednesday incident brings to two fire outbreaks at the Capitol building in recent days amid political struggle at the House of Representatives. Speaking Wednesday at an inspection of the fire incident site, President Boakai decried what he termed rampant destruction across the country and called for a speedy investigation into the matter. The Liberian leader pointed out that his government would not tolerate any act of violence and destruction that could undermine the peace and security of the country. Former President of Liberia, President Charles Coffey, has strongly condemned the fire incident that erupted at the Capitol building earlier Wednesday. In a statement, the former president of Liberia called for full-scale and impartial investigation into the incident to bring the perpetrators to justice. Coffey described the burning of part of the Capitol building as dangerous path to national peace and security. He also indicated that the Capitol building fire incident, which occurred in the wake of the leadership crisis at the House of Representatives, has a negative image on the legislative governance process of the country. The Human Civil Society Human Rights Advocacy Platform of Liberia has expressed concern about the burning and destruction of portion of the Capitol building. The historic chamber located at the head of the Capitol building burned to ashes on Wednesday. Adam Dexter, Secretary General of the Civil Society Human Rights Advocacy Platform of Liberia, says such acts of violence and lawlessness should not be given any place in a democratic society, noting that it serves to only further polarize Liberia's already fragile political landscape. Speaking at a news conference, Adam Dempster admonished the Ministry of Justice and all state security agencies to properly and impartially investigate the fire incident at the Capitol building. The United Nations Special Procedure Council is calling on the Liberian government to prioritize the prevention of human trafficking in its development agenda. Addressing a team of journalists at the One UN House on Wednesday, the Council's Special Rapporteur on Trafficking in Person, Sio Ham Mulali, said the call is aimed at strengthening child protection and gender equity across the country. According to her, a survey conducted in Liberia showed that the assistance and protection services for victims are limited, urging the government to expand the provision of safe homes and child protection measures. The United Nations anti-trafficking expert further explained that there is a limited capacity for the inspection and enforcement for the risks of trafficking for forced labor and child supply in Liberia. The National Commission of Catholic Justice and Caritans has ended a one-day national dialogue with media practitioners on strategies for securing an inclusive economic recovery. The training session brought together journalists from various media institutions, and it focused on budget reporting and debt relief. Giving the overview of the training, the regional coordinator, Pilot Johnson, said the one-day training session was to inform journalists on how to report on the budget. And a female organization, Book for Boys, has donated large quantity of sanitary pads and cartons of copybooks to the students of C. Williams Bromsky Elementary School on Front Street in Morovia. Speaking during the presentation ceremony, the country director of the organization, Mustafa Shaman, said the presentation of the sanitary pads and copybooks was his institution way of celebrating the organization's fifth anniversary. Sherman thanked the administration of C. Williams Bromsky Elementary School for helping to mold the minds of youth in the country over the years. Receiving the items, the principal of the school, Shirley Matthew, thanked Book for Boys for the donation and assured the organization that the items will be used for its intended purpose. Madam Matthew used the occasion to appeal to other organizations to assist the institution in giving the students the necessary quality education.
Sam and Juice with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you listen to King's Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa. And our one word. Stories we follow in this afternoon. Several Liberian journalists expressed fear for their lives following Syria attacks on members of the Liberian media and reports of ruling Unity Party plans to assassinate journalists considered critics of the government. Former Presidential aide Sekou Carrasco and several others remain behind bars at the at the Morovia Central Prison despite efforts to have them released. As Liberia National Police declares Embaito House Speaker Fonati Kofa and Moserado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko persons of interest in the Wednesday's Capitol Hill fire outbreak. Economic Community of West African States calls on government of Liberia to ensure peaceful dialogue and respect for human rights. ECOWAS terms Capitol building fire outbreak an incident that could further inflame an already fragile situation. And away from Liberia, several children have been killed near Crouch at a fun fair in the southwest Nigerian city of Abadan, with many others hospitalized. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The special assistant to Mangibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangio, Bobby Grade, has alarmed over what he describes as dangerous plans by the ruling Unity Party to assassinate several Liberian journalists who are considered critics of the government. Bobby Grade made the allegations Wednesday on Face the Issues with Liberian top talk show host Ibrahim Gossen Wion. Gray claimed against the ruling party following a reported arson attack on the vehicle of journalist Austin Kawa of Freedom FM.
I am not the only young person I've been blacklisted in this country. Maybe you've been blacklisted.
That I know.
You've been blacklisted. A lot of young people have been blacklisted. I will not call the name. There is a female police officer who I worked with before, who was my student before. She told me today, Bobby, your name is in the book. I saw your photo. I'm telling you this, there's a book that they have our name in. They are blacklisted us. They are waiting for the slightest opportunity to harm us. The guys are willing to kill us at any moment. We are not safe in this country. This country is in danger. It is going to get in faster, and we are heading to nowhere. What I experienced today, I can tell you for true, Waka is lawless. The group against us are lawless people, and they are ready to destroy our lives in this country. If we don't stand up, if we don't stand to those people, if we don't march into history on those people, rest assured, AB, in the next 6 or 7 months, many of us will be history.
Wow.
Many of us will be history.
It is too scary, especially you just narrated that, in fact, it is your version of the story that tells us that a fire did not occur sometimes in the night.
No, it did not occur in the night. It did not occur in the night. It did not occur when I went to the Capitol building, there was no fire. I sat with security and all outside because there was no electricity.
Oh, you sat with the security?
Yes, I sat with the security.
You mean private
and
security or police?
No, I thought about one of the Capitol building security. I sat with him outside until correctly the building. I could not go into the building because I wanted to complete my work. I sat with him for some time when correctly he said, oh, correctly, I went into the building. I went into the building. I sat in the building almost 20 minutes before that incident happened. I sat in the building almost 20 minutes before I heard that sound. But I can tell you for sure, that fire, I believe it was staged, managed by state security, because as soon as I reached there, they were already there. You put fire in the building. I will be accused directly. You put fire in the building. But you want to know, there's the public man, right? They will know you, your trouble people. You are the one always posting nonsense on Facebook. I say that's a crime that I've committed. If that's a crime I've committed, the security director of Federal Building will not handle. In a church, police should behave.
Bobby Grady is a special assistant to Mangibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangio, speaking on the increasing attack against journalists by the Liberian National Police and unknown individuals. Top Liberian talk show host and general manager of the Royal Communications Incorporated, Ibrahim Gossen Wion, called on Liberians to rise up against the wanton act, irrespective of political parties' affiliation and position.
I can recall vividly, I supported the CDC in 2017 when it came to the job. Our decision or our position at the time. People may have thought that we're against the CDC or whatever. No. But we're saying that the wrong things were happening. And we spoke to it. But brother, we as journalists, before we could become journalists today, we are citizens. Ordinary citizens ourselves. If there is no way that our country is safe, we cannot practice in our respective professions. When we are at war, pastors will not be respected to go to church to preach. When we are at war, medical doctors will not be able to go to hospitals except on a coercion or sanitary condition. When we are at war, lawyers will not be able to go to court to practice. That's why when you see these things happening, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are working a profession, you got to step down and protect your country. so that that country will provide an avenue for you to be the kind of person that you want to be. And that's where we are now. What happened on yesterday was wrong. It's still wrong, and no matter what it is wrong. We are seeing things happening in this country, and people are now seeing it as being right because the Asa is there. And these are things that we got to be stand up. To be a patriot, you have to stand first on the side of the law, because the politicians will go away. The regime will pass away, but your country will stay. The law will stay. Your patriotism vow will continue to stay on. And these are things that we got to stand up for. It doesn't matter how people feel, what kind of side you want to be on. We just got to speak to the truth, and that is very much important. So I want to thank Otavin. I was listening to him, you and your conversation.
Top Liberian talk show host and general manager of the Royal Communications Incorporated, Abraham Gossent Wayan. Former Vice President of the President of Liberia, Otavin Williams, has condemned the Liberia National Police over the arrest and manhandling of former President George Weah aide Sekou Carrasco on Tuesday. Sekou Carrasco and several others were arrested by riot police of the Liberia National Police during the Concerned Citizens for the Protection of the Constitution, Democracy and the Rule of Law protest up Capitol Hill for showing solidarity for the protesters. Otavin, a staunch supporter of the Bouakakon 2023 election, also termed the government move as misruled and flagrant abuse of the country's laws.
The must just be released, and they say the fact we are released, so we leave our case, let's go. No. Let the law be tested, and I'm disappointed in the police director. I am disappointed in the police director. You cannot be a police director and be a police director on 1980 and 1982. You cannot be a police director in 2004. You be acting like a police director on 1985. The police director under the tyrannical regime of former President Taylor. The police director under the gentle regime of former President Samuel Kayandu. No, we are past those stages. We cannot go back. There is always a tomorrow. Do not allow people to use your hand to pick fire for them.
Are you suggesting that when they are released, they should pursue legal action against the police vis-a-vis the government?
Of course. We should test the law. The law should always be tested. One of the problems we have in this country is let's bargain, be bargain. We do not test the law. And in this case, the law must be tested. I am not in favor of violence. I'm not in favor of anybody going against the state. But people have their rights to organize peaceful protest. We remember the June 7 protest over President Weah. That protest was peaceful, and that protest even had more multitude of human beings as compared to this gun protest yesterday.
Former Vice President of the President of Liberia, Otavin Williams, in conversation with King's FM, Sam Andrews. Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman has named Mbaito House Speaker Fonanti Kofa and Moserado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko as persons of interest following the fire outbreak at the Capitol building. The fire outbreak, which occurred early Wednesday, engulfed the joint chamber of the House of Representatives, with several casualties reported, but was later extinguished through interventions made by the Liberia National Fire Service. RG Coleman stated that the Liberia National Police has launched an immediate investigation into the fire incident and vowed to bring those responsible to justice, ensuring they face the full weight of the law.
The electronic evidence, pieces of evidence that we're looking at, I think you mentioned the issue of Alamo and the video that's in circulation with Honorable Fogo. That, in clear relation to what I just explained, if you make those kind of comments and it immediately manifests, we don't see it as a coincidence. For us, until we can clear all doubt around it, we will investigate. So this particular comment as well is one of the things that electronic evidence that we're looking at. So yes, that we're looking at that very, very seriously. We don't take it lightly. You're not bothered. Like the best listeners, they're happy. So we do what we're looking at to get better understanding. If it has no connection, fine. But for now, we are we haven't ruled out the fact that fire just happened. It's we believe that there was an accelerant. We believe that it's an arson attack. So until we can fully investigate, to be informed that none of the things that we're looking at now are connected with it, then we'll go back and now we'll on an active investigation, looking at everything that has been posted on social media, everything we can find on the print media, and stuff that people have said, people are able to connect to this particular incident.
Liberia National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman. The seat of the Liberian National Legislature got a fire early Wednesday, leaving a joint chamber damaged. The cause of fire is still unknown, but the government has announced investigations to determine the exact cause of the fire and damages caused on the Capitol building. King's Evan Jenen Pisman has a report.
The seat of the Liberian National Legislature early Wednesday got a fire, which have resulted to huge damages of the joint chamber. Thick black smokes and flames billowing over the dome of the Capitol building took over the skies as many Liberians standing surprised to observe the burning Capitol building. The cause of the fire is still unknown, but the government has announced investigations to determine the exact cause of the fire and damages on the Capitol building. The seat of the Liberian National Legislature caught fire just a day after the coalition of citizens under the banner Concerned Citizens for the Protection of Constitution, Democracy, and the Rule of Law gathered up Capitol Hill to protest against constitutional violation, where police reportedly shot live bullets and tear gas to disperse protesters. Recently, the Concerned Citizens for the Protection of Constitution, Democracy, and the Rule of Law announced a non-stop Capitol lockdown in demand for constitutional order and the rule of law, and has since accused President Joseph Boakai and Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn of funneling over $5 million United States dollars to destabilize the legislature in order to gain absolute control. Also believes the government has increased unemployment, ritualistic killings, and political brutality against citizens in less than a year. Following the fire incident, several Liberians, including political figures, have attributed the outbreak to political struggles at the House of Representatives for political control and supremacy. Others believe the executives in the breakaway majority bloc of the House of Representatives must have fueled the incident to present a negative image of the citizens for the protection of Constitution, democracy, and the rule of law. Tuesday, December 17, protests and other individuals, including Maserado District 9 Representative Frank Safuku, also resisting the removal of Councillor Fonanti as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, the Liberian National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman has also been criticized for allegedly failing to ensure full internal security at the grounds of the Capitol building during ongoing intense power struggles at the House.
King's Evan Jenen Pessimant with that report. Monserrado County District 10 Representative Yeke Koluba has called for an immediate investigation of President Joseph Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, and Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman following the fire outbreak at the Capitol building on Wednesday. Representative Koluba also expressed deep concerns over the fire outbreak, indicating that the Liberian National Police has exposed itself to be held responsible for the incident.
Liberian people want to condemn the attitude of people that said they were in charge of this building. We want to condemn the attitude of people that have been beating people in the building and said they were in charge of the building. The director of police said they were restricting the building for chaos to not go on here. Where were they when the building got burned? But now Joseph Boakai should be on an investigation. Jeremiah Kuhn should be on an investigation. And the director of police that brought people here, a brutal last lawmaker, and said the building will be controlled. The building is under the supervision of the police. So where were they? Where were they when the building got burned? Joseph Boakai is disrespecting all the laws of this country. Even the tenure position. Joseph Boakai is a compromise the whole security sector of this country and he's in charge. So the only brought where the bill lawmaker not to control the building, they are responsible for it. I said my statement. they are responsible for it because they told the Liberian people that they will maintain their building and their building will be secure.
Monserrado County District 10 Representative Yeke Koluba taking us for a break. A reminder you're listening to King's News Broom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories following this afternoon, several Liberian journalists expressed fear for their lives following Syria attacks on members of the Liberian media and reports of ruling Unity Party plans to assassinate journalists considered critics of the government. Former presidential aide Sekou Kalasco and several others remain behind bars at the Morovia Central Prison despite efforts to have them released. As Liberia National Police declares and by to House Speaker Fonati Kofa and Monserrado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko presence of interest in the Wednesday's Capitol Hill fire outbreak. Economic Community of West African States calls on government of Liberia to ensure peaceful dialogue and respect for human rights. ECOWAS terms Capitol building fire outbreak an incident that could further inflame an already fragile situation. And away from Liberia, several children have been killed in a crash at a fun fair in the southwest Nigerian city of Abadan, with many others hospitalized. We take a break to be back with more voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. President Joseph Boakai has condemned the fire incident at the joint chamber of the Capitol building. The Wednesday incident brings to two fire outbreaks at the Capitol building in recent days amidst political struggle at the House of Representatives. Speaking Wednesday during an inspection at the fire incident scene, President Boakai decried what he termed as rampant destruction across the country and called for a speedy investigation into the matter.
There's a lot of wanton destruction that is going on in this country. Beginning with this, we're not going to tolerate this anymore in this country. We are a poor country. People are trying to help us. A lot of people are bent on destroying this country. You have problem. We have the rule of law. We have every way in this place to be able to listen to you. But we're not going to accept this. We're asking the Minister of Justice, all of the security apparatus, including our friends, to investigate this letter. People who are caught, we will deal with them, and we'll set the tune for all other people who, when they get angry, they burn down the police, they destroy this. We're not going to allow this. So we just want to say, to console the members of the first family in this government, we're in sympathy with them, but the destruction we have to stop. We're not going to allow this to happen in this country. But people who have problems, we have the way to remedy all the issues in this country. So that's all I have to tell you. I'm happy that you are here. You will look at yourself, but we're not going to settle for this. This is not a place for hooligans. This is a place for responsible people who are here to serve the Liberian people. This country is poor, and I don't care what they do or build this country for the interest of future generations.
President Joseph Boakai speaking. The Civil Society Human Rights Advocacy Platform of Liberia has expressed concern about the burning and destruction of portion of the Capitol building in Monrovia. The historic chamber located at the heart of the Capitol building burned to ashes in the early hours of Wednesday. Adama Dempster, Secretary General of the Civil Society Human Rights Advocacy Platform of Liberia, says such acts of violence and lawlessness should be given no place in a democratic society, noting that it serves to further polarize Liberia's already fragile political landscape.
That the Human Rights Advocacy Platform of Liberia is deeply concerned by the recent political events unfolding in Liberia, particularly the impasse between the majority and minority blocs of the House of Representatives. In the wake of escalating political tensions, the CSO Human Rights Platform is greatly concerned about the burning and destruction of portion of the Capitol building and the violence that occurred during the protests on December 17, 2024 at the Capitol. The CSO Human Rights Advocacy Platform acknowledges the Ministry of Justice and all state security agencies to promptly and impartially investigate the fire incident at the Capitol building and bring the alleged perpetrators to justice. It is imperative that those responsible for instigating violence and undermining the democratic institutions of our country are held accountable for their actions. The blatant disregard for constitutional authorities shown by certain members of the public, the government, and the opposition. This flagrant disrespect for democratic processes and the rule of law is a grave concern that threatens the stability and integrity of our nation.
Adama Dempster is the Secretary General of the Civil Society Human Rights Platform of Liberia. The United Nations Special Procedures Council is calling on the Liberian government to prioritize the prevention of human trafficking in its development agenda. Addressing a team of journalists at the One UN House on Wednesday, the Council's Special Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons, Madame Siobhan Malile, said the call is aimed at strengthening child protection and gender equality across the country.
We note a number of positive and encouraging developments. We highlight in particular that action to combat trafficking in persons is essential to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2060. Significant resources will be needed, however, to ensure the reach of child protection and social services across the country, in particular in rural and hard-to-reach areas and in mining sectors, particularly around illicit mining areas where sexual exploitation of women and girls is prevalent and of serious concern. We also welcome the efforts to combat sexual and gender-based violence, particularly affecting women and girls, including through measures to strengthen access to justice for victims, expanding protection services and accountability. And we note that measures to combat trafficking in persons for sexual exploitation should be integrated into these programs with the participation and leadership of survivors of trafficking in design and implementation.
The National Commission of Catholic Justice, Peace, and Caritas has ended a one-day national dialogue with media practitioners on strategies for securing an inclusive economic recovery. The training sections brought together journalists from various media institutions and focuses on budget reporting and debt relief. Giving overview of the training, the regional coordinator for National Commission of Catholic Justice, Peace, and Caritas, Pally Johnson, said the one-day training section is to inform journalists on how to report on the national budget.
We realized that the draft budget when they did the draft budget last year, this year, the total amount for debt was almost in the tune of around 200 and something billion. Of course, there were some renegotiation, and that amount had to come down, right? So the fact is, the government wants to put more money to go toward roads, hospitals, schools, and the essence of this screening is how media practitioners can know what to go for, what to look for in the budget. You're not just looking at the figure, the total figure, but which portion of this budget is going towards public sector investment. How much is allocated for schools? How much is allocated for hospitals? Because that's what citizens will benefit directly. Like the current draft budget, they have around like 336 million going towards what? Compensation. So what is the population of Liberia? 5.2, right? Out of that 5.2, the 36 point something million, how many Liberians is that money going to? Maybe if they are around like 70 or 75,000 civil servants, they are now collecting that money. But so this is what we want you to look at. If you're doing budget reporting, these are the kind of things we want you to look at, not just about food. So if you take 330 something million for 75,000, subtract that from 5.4 or 5.6 million. So you still have over 5.3 million people who are not in any way directly benefiting.
Regional coordinator for the National Commission of Catholic Justice, Peace, and Caritas, Pally Johnson, was speaking during a one-day training session with media practitioners on strategies for securing an inclusive economic recovery. A pro-female organization, Book Before Boys, has donated large quantities of sanitary pads and cartons of copybooks to the students of the C. Williams-Broskin Elementary School on Front Street in Monrovia. Speaking during the presentation ceremony, the country director of the Book Before Boys, Mustafa Shemer, said the presentation of the sanitary pad and copybook is a way of celebrating the organization's fifth anniversary.
This gone Saturday our fifth anniversary. Every year we celebrate our anniversary in different forms. So this year we as executive, our members and our executive officer, the board director, we decided to identify with one of our partner schools, which is Bronskin, right in our district and right around our office. So today we are so happy we brought two cartoon or copybook and sanitary pad. No, very sanitary pad is very crucial for a female. So we decided to come to do this donation.
Receiving the items, the principal of the C. Williams Bronskin, Shelley Matthews, thanked the Book Before Boys for the donation and assured the organization that the items will be used for its intended purpose.
This is the first time since I've been in the school 3 years ago to see an NGO coming to the students to do such thing. So we are all gone this morning. We are so happy. As he said, this school is of very historical school. This school was founded in 1968. And this school has produced so many great people in this nation. For our past president, George Manuel, we are came from this school. And so many people in government came from this school.
And away from Liberia, several children have been killed in a crash at the fun fair in southwest Nigerian city of Abadan, with many others hospitalized. The exact number of casualties is not clear. The event was advertised as free entry and draw a large crowd, but so many people turned up that there was a crowd that they struggled to gain entry. Residents said that over 5,000 children had gathered at the venue, and the crowd occurred when the main organizers arrived to start the event. On that note, that's how we come to a near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Several Liberian journalists expressed fear for their lives following Syria attacks on members of the Liberian media and reports of ruling Unity Party plans to assassinate journalists considered critics of the government. Former presidential aide Sekou Kalasco and several others remain behind bars at the Morovia Central Prison despite efforts to have them released, as Liberia National Police declared entitled House Speaker Fonati Kofa and Monserrado County District 9 Representative Frank Safoko persons of interest in the Wednesday's Capitol Hill fire outbreak. You also heard in the news Economic Community of West African States calls on government of Liberia to ensure peaceful dialogue and respect for human rights. ECOWAS terms Capitol building fire outbreak an incident that could further inflame an already fragile situation. And away from Liberia, several children have been killed in a crash at a fun fair in the southwest Nigerian city of Abadan, with many others hospitalized. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's News Business Sources. Sam Andrews brought you the news bulletin. Colinius Johnson sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this production. On behalf of the team, I'm Sherman Deal. I presented. Thanks for listening.